When you think of an icon, Diana Ross immediately comes to mind. She changed the course of music history with her incredible legacy, a priceless gem. As the most successful singer and performer of all time, her extraordinary career made her famous. However, her personal life was shrouded in mystery, with many heartbreaking stories known only to her family and close friends. Now, at the age of 37, her son has spoken out to confirm what we have long suspected. Did Diana have a hidden life that she tried to hide from everyone? Come and see the shocking truth about Diana Ross revealed by her son. Diana Ross, beginning in childhood. On the 26th of March 1944, Diana Ross entered the world in Detroit, Michigan. She was born on the 27th of January, 1916, to Ernestine Moten, who lived from the 9th of October, 1984, and had 6 more children. Regarding Fred Ross Sr., who passed away on the 21st of November, 2007, he was born on the 4th of July, 1920. Diana was given the name Diane by her mother, but the birth certificate was filled up with Diana instead. For the rest of her life, everyone in Detroit who knew her nicknamed her Diane. There were 5 siblings in Ross's family: Rita and Barbara, Arthur, Fred Jr., and Wilbert. Specifically, Ross was brought up in a Baptist Christian home. Originally, Ross and her family lived at 635 Belmont Street in Detroit's North End neighborhood, close to Highland Park, Michigan. Smokey Robinson was a neighbor of Ross's. A severe case of TB struck Ross's mother when she was 7 years old, making her very sick. In Bessemer, Alabama, Ernestine Moten's parents, the Reverend Pastor of Bessemer Baptist Church in Missis, William Moten, took in Ross and his siblings as a refuge for their children. The family may go back to Detroit after Mom is better. Her family moved to the working-class Brewster Douglas housing projects, specifically to Street Ba, Antoine Street, when she turned 14 in 1958. Ross went to Cass Technical High School, a magnet school in downtown Detroit that was designed to prepare students for college. Additionally, she enrolled in courses in millinery, pattern creation, tailoring, and garment design to become a fashion designer. She was active in several extracurriculars at school, including the swim team, and attended night and weekend lessons in modeling and cosmetology. As the first African-American busgirl employed by Hudson, Ross made history in 1960 at the downtown Detroit shop. Additionally, she offered her hairstyling skills to her neighbors as a side hustle. In January 1962, Ross received his diploma from Cass Tech. Even with these modest origins, one would wonder how Diana came to be. Were her abilities honed throughout her formative years? To learn Diana's true story, you'll have to keep watching. Diana Ross's early career. At the age of 16, Diana Ross embarked on her musical career by joining a schoolgirl group that took its cues from the local all-male ensemble. The Supremes, originally known as the Primettes due to their sister act relationship with the Primes, the precursor to the Temptations, began in 1959, the year she began her professional career along with several friends from her neighborhood as a pop-soul vocal group. Over the last half-century, she has been captivating audiences with her captivating combination of soul and flair as one of the 4 unique talents that immortalized Motown music. Her flawless songwriting, elegant flair, and fragile soprano voice set her apart from the others. Diana's band, the Supremes, had a successful run of singles. Smokey Robinson saw their potential and helped them get a recording deal. Although for others it meant slipping into oblivion, for Ross it was the beginning of a glorious career. They had a quick recording session with Lupine Records before a Canadian talent program prompted them to test for Motown. In August 1960, the band had an audition with Berry Gordy, an official at Motown. But, as Ross stated in an interview with Pop Chronicles, upon learning that the Primettes were only 16 years old, Gordy instructed them to return once they finished high school. Plus, they returned because they kept trying. So, according to Smith, in 1961, the group's name change to something more marketable was a condition that Gordy agreed to sign. Several names were explored by the group before they settled on the very marketable The Supremes, including the Melodies, the Sweet Peas, and the Jewelettes. Motown Records, owned by Berry Gordy, signed the band in 1960. They signed with Motown and dropped their debut song later that year. Ross, Mary Wilson, and Florence Ballard were the original members of the quartet. Cindy Birdsong was added to the lineup in 1967. History shows that Hitsville, USA staff and management continued to refer to the group as the No-Hit Supremes far into 1964. Having said that, the Supremes were slow to adapt. Their signature style and sound, which brought them fame, were not immediately apparent. After 3 years of trying numerous combinations of musicians and songs, Gordy eventually found what worked for the group. Where Did Our Love Go? Written by Holland Dozier, Holland and released in 1964, was the first #1 hit for the Supremes. With the use of chiming bells and a muted rhythm section to embellish Diana Ross's exact breathy phrasing, the Supremes achieved an intended lack of discernible race. The Supremes, known for their many successful singles, had a string of 5 straight #1 singles on the pop charts from 1964 to 1965. This run included 1964's Baby Love, 1965's Stop in the Name of Love, and 1969's Someday We'll Be Together. Nevertheless, the group underwent a name change in 1967 to Diana Ross and The Supremes, hinting to the solo career that Ross would begin in 1970. Throughout her 50-year career, she has sold over 100 million records, created 57 albums, achieved many #1 songs, and won countless honors. Diana Ross's acting and singing career in the United States. Diana Ross embarked on her solo career in 1970. Ross has amassed over 100 million record sales around the globe with the production of 25 studio albums, several singles, and compilations. One of Ross's first solo #1 hits was Ain't No Mountain High Enough from her debut album. The 1972 biopic Lady Sings the Blues was made by Motown and was based on the life of Billie Holiday. The picture won a Golden Globe and was highly praised for its performance by Ross, who played Holiday. She began her Broadway career 5 years later playing Dorothy in The Wiz, an African-American musical that was based on The Wizard of Oz. In 1980, Diana's album had a song that was published, which was also turned upside down. Not only was it incredibly popular in its home country, but it was also Ross's 6th #1 song overall. Diana, her most successful solo album to date, spent 52 weeks at the top of the Billboard 200 album chart. Ross has maintained a busy acting, singing, and theater career throughout her solo work. After leaving Motown in 1980, Ross became the highest-paid musician of all time when he inked a $20 million deal with RCA. Ross was the producer behind many platinum-certified albums and top 40 hits during his time at RCA. The 3 members of the Supremes trio were back in the spotlight in 1983 for the Motown 25 television special. I sang Yesterday, Today, and Forever as a single song. After performing in the 1996 Super Bowl, Ross went on to host the 1997 MTV Video Music Awards. In 2000, she suggested a Supremes reunion tour, but Wilson and Birdsong turned it off due to contractual disputes. Despite being postponed following its initial performances owing to disappointing ticket sales, the tour proceeded with 2 substitute performers. Diana Ross has performed for royalty, including the Queen of England. In 2007, Ross was honored by the Kennedy Center Honors Committee for her impact on American culture and received 2 stars on Hollywood's Walk of Fame. Diana Ross is still very much involved in the music industry. She regularly releases new albums and tours North America and Europe. The nation's highest civilian distinction, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, was presented to Ross on the 16th of November 2016, together with 21 other winners. Ross, Florence Ballard, and the late Mary Wilson, co-founders of the Supremes, also won the Grammy for Lifetime Achievement in 2023. With her 2012 solo triumph, Ross became the first female winner to receive the award twice. As she approaches her 8th decade, Diana has reduced the pace of her profession. Anthony Vaccarello's new campaign for the French label Saint Rand, Laurent's Spring 2024 collection, unveiled the Grammy winner as the face of the company on March 26th. Her relationships and love life. While Ross was incredibly successful professionally, she was much more successful romantically, with impeccable taste and wonderful guys. Diana Ross has a knack for finding wonderful relationships, even though her life isn't always how people imagine it. A lot of renowned men have dated Diana Ross in some capacity, and those guys should consider themselves lucky. Berry Gordy, creator of Motown and an integral figure in the Supremes' rise to fame, has been friends with Diana Ross from the beginning of her career. Their daughter was born in 1971, after they started dating in the 1960s. Although their romantic interest faded, Gordy and Ross remained professional collaborators, as he co-produced several of Ross's top-charting singles. Their profound influence on one another is evidenced by their enduring personal and professional bond. Jon Voight and Diana Ross started dating in the 1970s when they were introduced by common Hollywood acquaintances. Because they were both legendary in their areas, their romance captivated the public and the press. They went to a lot of events together and worked on several projects together, but they broke up after dating for a while. They maintained their cordial relationship even after they parted ways, which said volumes about the depth of their regard and respect for one another. Smokey Robinson and Diana Ross have been best friends since they were little children. Their friendship began in the days when they were both living in Detroit, long before they became famous. Rumors of a love affair between the two celebrities started circulating while both groups were at the top of their game. The depth of their closeness has long stoked suspicion, despite their repeated denials that it was anything more than platonic. Their unbreakable bond is evidenced by their enduring relationship. In the early 1980s, Arn and Ace Jr. met at a social function and started dating the beautiful Diana Ross. They were the life of the party wherever they went, and had several unforgettable adventures as a pair, including exploring the globe and just plain old making each other laugh. In 1986, they tied the knot in a beautiful ceremony that sealed their love. Regrettably, the pair chose to split in 2000 after being married for 14 years. For the benefit of their two children, they remained amicable even after they separated. Eddie Kendricks, a fellow Motown performer, and Diana Ross began dating in the late 60s. As artists and people enduring the ups and downs of celebrity, they were inseparable. But their romance didn't last long since they both ended up putting their work before their love. An unforgettable thread in the fabric of their lives is the time they spent together. Following the conclusion of her relationship with Silberstein in the early 1980s, Diana Ross began a romantic relationship with the larger-than-life Kiss vocalist Gene Simmons. Simmons even presents Ross to his mother, which is a testament to the odd pairing's ability to form a substantial relationship. They spent a number of years together, during which time they were seen attending high-profile events and displaying their love to the world. Nevertheless, their whirlwind affair came to an end. In the end, Simmons wed the model Shannon Tweed and had a family together. A chance encounter between Diana Ross and Ryan O'Neal, an actor, at a party hosted by the entertainment business in the middle of the 1970s, was the spark that ignited the beginning of their passionate affair. The two were frequently seen attending events together and enjoying one another's company, giving off the impression that they were a gorgeous couple. Both of them went on to pursue other relationships and their different jobs, which ultimately led to the dissolution of their romance, which had lasted far longer than it should have. Although they were only together for a short period, their marriage continues to be a significant chapter in the lives of both of the stars. Diana Ross and Arthur Ashe, two of the most famous tennis players of all time, became romantically involved in the late 1960s after they first met at a charity event. Both on and off the court, the two were seen attending several high-profile events together, and they had a close relationship with one another. Even though they were only together for a short period, the couple's mutual adoration continued to exist for a considerable amount of time after they broke up. Throughout the years, they continued to be friends and supported each other in their professional achievements as well as their charitable initiatives. During the latter half of the 1960s, Diana Ross collaborated closely with Francesco Scavullo, a well-known fashion photographer, on several breathtaking picture shootings. The two were romantically involved with one another as a result of their work together, even though Scavullo acknowledged his sexual orientation openly. Despite the fact that their relationship was only short-lived, Scavullo would continue to photograph Ross several times during their careers, suggesting that their mutual bond would endure. A lasting imprint was left by the mutual respect and appreciation that they had for one another's work, despite the fact that their romantic relationship did not last. The famed Hollywood actor and director Warren Beatty was a romantic interest of Diana Ross for a brief period in the early 1970s. Beatty's image as a notorious womanizer contributed to the tremendous attention that was paid to their relationship, although it was only short-lived. Despite the brief duration of their romantic relationship, Ross and Beatty continued to be friends and even collaborated on a subsequent picture, Reds, which was directed by Beatty. It is a testimonial to the magnetic appeal and attraction that they both radiated throughout the time that they were together as a relationship that this chapter takes place in their life. Just a few short months after the birth of her first child with Motown founder Berry Gordy, Diana Ross tied the knot with music businessman Robert Ellis Silberstein in the year 1971. During their marriage, they were blessed with 2 children and encouraged and supported each other's professional endeavors. Silberstein served as Ross's manager during their marriage. Nevertheless, the pair decided to split ways after 6 years of marriage, and they finally divorced in the year 1977. Even though they were no longer together, they are still dedicated to co-parenting their children and keeping their relationship on a positive note. During the early 1980s, there was a brief period when Diana Ross was associated with fellow celebrity Richard Gere. During the brief period of their relationship, the two did not engage in a great deal of public engagement with one another. Yet, the fact that they were both Hollywood legends contributed to the fact that their pairing made news. Both of them eventually moved on to pursue other love activities, which resulted in the passing of their relationship. In spite of this, their relationship continues to be something that stands out in the history of celebrity relationships. At the beginning of the 21st century, there were rumors that Michael Bloomberg, who had previously served as the mayor of New York City, was romantically engaged with Diana Ross. The unexpected nature of their union, along with the fact that Bloomberg is a prominent public person, caused the combination to garner a lot of attention in the media. Their romance, on the other hand, never developed into something more serious, and they parted ways not long after that. Even though they were only together for a short period, the couple's relationship continues to be an intriguing part of Ross's love history. It was when a young Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 were brought to the attention of the music industry by Motown Records that Diana Ross and Michael Jackson first became the best of friends. On the other hand, it wasn't until much later in their careers that speculations of a love relationship between the two celebrities started to circulate. The evident connection between them and the tight friendship they shared encouraged conjecture, although both of them denied being anything more than friends. According to reports, Michael Jackson harbored feelings for Diana Ross as well. Michael felt envious of her when she married the wedding in 1980, since he had previously stated, "I loved her, and I will continue to love her forever." But throughout their entire lives, they were there for each other, showing their support by frequently attending events together and chanting each other's praises. In addition to working together on several occasions, they had a role in the film The Wiz. Because they were so close, Jackson's will stipulated that in the event that his mother was unable to care for his children, they would be given to Ross rather than any other member of the family. Nevertheless, there are many who assert that Diana was the woman that Michael Jackson loved the most in his life. Supposedly, he expressed his affection for her, and the two of them fell in love with one another. Diana Ross's toxic friendship with Cher. Many similarities may be seen between Diana Ross and Cher. They both began their careers in the 1960s, have powerful pipes, and are considered to be legendary vocalists. At the very inaugural Rock Music Awards, which took place in 1975, Ross and Cher served as co-presenters. The 1960s were the decade in which both of these American idols reached superstardom. On the other hand, during the 1970s, they were both under the influence of the same individual, Gene Simmons. On the other hand, Ross quickly discovered that she was not the only one who was involved in a romantic connection with Gene Simmons. It came dangerously close to bringing an end to her friendship with Cher. It is believed that Cher was the one who initially became connected with the rock singer. In the narrative, it was stated that Simmons and Cher were living together in Malibu at the time when Simmons began to have thoughts about Ross. Simmons stated that during the Christmas season of 2015, when he asked Cher what she'd like for Christmas, she responded by saying, "Call my friend Diana Ross, because she is my closest friend. She will tell you exactly what I enjoy." Simmons then contacted Diana, and the two of them went shopping together. Subsequently, their affection for one another evolved rapidly, and they began a romantic connection during this time. The friendship between Cher and Diana deteriorated and grew strained as a result of it. Diana Ross mourns the love of her life. Following her relationship with Gene, Diana Ross eventually wed Arne Naess Jr., a Norwegian businessman, in the year 1985 of their marriage. Diana disclosed to Oprah Winfrey, during an interview on her show in February 2011, that she considers Arne to be the love of her life. The couple's marriage took place rather quickly after they had first met. After a marriage that lasted for 13 years, Diana Ross and Arne Naess split in the year 2000. Unfortunately, the BBC announced that Arne Naess had passed away in the year 2004. The mountain climbing tragedy that took place in South Africa on the 13th of January 2004 claimed the life of a 66-year-old man. Ross was interviewed after his burial, and even though she had been divorced for 4 years before his demise, she acknowledged her anguish and stated that it was a very tough day for her and her boys. On the other hand, she went to the burial of her ex-husband Arne Naess to perform the song that was his favorite. On the 21st of January 2004, the singer, who was 59 years old at the time, put on a brave front for the service that was held in Oslo, Norway. Diana Ross, her life as a mom. By the time Diana made the decision to wed music businessman Robert Ellis Silberstein in January of 1971, she was already 2 months pregnant with a child that she had conceived with Berry Gordy, a prominent figure in the Motown music industry. It was in August of the following year that Rhonda Suzanne Silberstein was born, and Robert brought her up as his own. Later on, they added 2 more daughters to their family, Tracy Joy Silberstein, who became better known to Blackish fans as actress Tracy Ellis Ross in 1972, and Chudney Lane Silberstein, who was born 3 years later in 1975. Both of these children were born and raised in the same household. Her second marriage, which took place in 1986, resulted in her becoming a stepmother. At that time, Arne welcomed her elder children, Christopher and singer Leona Naess, into the mixed family. She also became a mother to a son. In 1987, the couple became parents to Ross Arne, and in 1988, they brought Evan Olav into the world. She confessed that her life was rather lonely after the death of the father of her children, particularly during the years when she was a single mother with no one to share obligations with or rely on or to share her responsibilities with. Her connection with isolation became more problematic as a result of the fact that she carried everything on her shoulders for a considerable amount of time. Despite the fact that Diana Ross cherishes her time alone, she carries a sense of guilt. She talks about how the extended period spent traveling, which lasted for weeks and months, was challenging for her and caused her to miss her husband and children. As she pointed out, she is primarily troubled by the fact that she has to leave her children to find a means of subsistence. It is beginning to dawn on her that the person who is monitoring them does not care for them as much as she would. Even though she constantly talks to her children when they are traveling, she creates mental images of how their features seem while they are conversing in her thoughts. On the other hand, although she believed everything was okay, it turned out that it wasn't. Diana Ross's traumatic moments, losing family members. In her memoir, Secrets of a Sparrow, Diana Ross tells a different narrative, although she may have had all she could ever want. During writing her book, Diana Ross pondered on her upbringing and got a more profound comprehension of the challenges faced by her mother. She also recalled the events surrounding her mother's demise, which took place 2 years after she was diagnosed with cancer. She did this to guarantee that they were happy. In his writing, Ross described how quickly and how horrific it was for her. As one could also see that life was slowly departing her, it is clear that she was attempting to cling to life so that she may continue living. Diana Ross was conducting several performances at Radio City Music Hall during that period, which kept her quite busy. She would travel back to Detroit after each performance, and then she would make her way back to New York in time for the concert that was scheduled for the next evening. The fact that she did not cancel the concerts in order to spend more time with her mother is one of the things she regrets the most in her life. It was written by her that I made an effort to be courageous for her and the rest of the family. There are times when it is difficult to know what is appropriate while things are taking place. Tim, Diana's brother, had likewise passed away in his own home a few years before. Within the pages of her book, Diana Ross expressed her affection for her brothers. Due to the fact that he was rather little for his age, her brother Arthur was given the nickname T-Boy when he was younger. The remains of T-Boy and his wife, Patricia Ann Robinson Ross, were discovered in the basement of their home in the Detroit region in the year 1996. A little over a year had passed since they had tied the knot. The Tampa Bay Times reports that both Arthur and his wife were smothered with plastic bags while they were tied up and bound, respectively. It was assumed that they had been hidden in the basement of their home for 2 to 3 weeks before their bodies were discovered there. As a result of a bad odor emanating from the residence, Jet said that neighbors contacted the authorities. Ross conveyed her expression of amazement and stated that she loved him very much. Diana Ross's nearly faced jail terms. The loss of loved ones wasn't the end of her hardships, though. Once again, Ross may have hit rock bottom in December 2002 when she spent 22 and a half hours behind bars on a DUI. A driver in Tucson called the police at around midnight on the 30th of December 2002 to report a vehicle that was traveling the opposite way on a main route in the suburbs of the city. Outside a video store, police discovered a red-eyed Ross who was clumsy and couldn't write his ABCs. The results of the officer's blood alcohol content test came back at 0.2%, which is far higher than the legal limit in the state of 0.08%. A court in Los Angeles handed down a 2-day jail term to Ross. As part of the plea deal, 2 charges that were linked were withdrawn. In addition to serving 1 year of unsupervised probation, she is also fined $1,850. Ross was given 48 hours in prison, although she was allowed to speak about her case over the phone from New York. However, a female guard was unable to care for her when she was in Greenwich prison, so she was released early. Over the course of 3 days, the Greenwich police held Ross for a total of 47 hours. The judge granted the media's demands to disclose the police footage of Ross's arrest, despite Ross's best attempts to keep the incident under wraps. Following its airing, the arrest sheet and the aborted AZ writing project were published in American tabloids. Diana Ross had addictions. From Diana's point of view, the career of a celebrity is not the most important thing in the world, contrary to what we believe. It is common for people to believe that she was driving under the influence of alcohol after leaving a party, which is something that a lot of celebrities do. However, it seems that her motivation for drinking was not just to get pleasure from it. In the year 2002, it was reported that Diana was battling with an alcohol addiction. It was claimed by People magazine that Ross had sought treatment at a facility that specializes in alcohol recovery. The official statement just stated that she went there to clear out some personal concerns, and no other information was provided regarding her therapy. The fact that she had willingly entered the program was another point that they emphasized. The children of Miss Ross, on the other hand, got concerned as she continued to drink wine throughout the day and night, as stated by reports in the USA. According to the source, the pain medicines that were provided were often those that were taken for an older injury, but she quickly became addicted to them as well. As the day progressed, she was experiencing an increasing amount of depression and dependence on narcotics to get through it. Furthermore, it was seen that she was going through a significant amount of mood swings as a result of the medicines and the alcohol. At the time when Miss Ross entered the Promises Clinic, it was stated that she appeared to be missing her sense of direction. It's possible that she was under a significant amount of medication, but she was acting as if she had no idea where she was. Diana appeared to be in a state of extreme disarray as she strolled around in a black silk dress with her hair styled in such a way that it appeared as though she was at a luxurious Beverly Hills spa. Diana Ross faced many ups and downs in her career. Many people have the false impression that Diana's life was a Hollywood dream. Her exit from the group wasn't as smooth as it appeared, as she revealed in her biography, which frankly recounted her experience. In the 9 years between their record deal and disbandment, the Supremes achieved a great deal. In 1967, the first significant shift occurred when the remaining members, including Berry Gordy, fired Florence Ballard due to her struggles with alcoholism. In her stead, Cindy Birdsong stepped in. Not even 3 years after that, Diana Ross would say goodbye to the group as well. One of the founding members, Mary Wilson, came forward to say that things became worse after Florence Ballard quit the group. Wilson thinks that this is the point at which Diana Ross decided to go solo, which is what caused the group to break up. Wilson wasted no time relating stories about Diana Ross's ultra-competitive personality. According to reports, she allegedly claimed that it was your responsibility if you happened to be in her path as she headed into the center. She seemed quite vicious in her pursuit of the attention she so desperately needed. The demands of a demanding schedule, including little sleep, frequent travel, and uninterrupted performance on tours, were, however, something she was forthright about. She revealed that she was unable to eat since it became too tough. At one point, she told me to put the food in my mouth, but I couldn't eat because my jaws would clench together. I became numb to the mere aroma of food as the temperature dropped. Eating became an abomination as I transformed into skin and bones. When Berry Gordy insisted they perform as many as 6 gigs a day, she recalled that they often had rashes just before appearances. In her writing, she described living in continual terror of the unknown. Despite encountering several obstacles, her constant fear was that someone would realize she wasn't good enough and that everything would fall apart. Diana Ross remains grateful. Ross wrote about her 80th birthday celebration, which she held with loved ones on the 28th of March 2024, and how lovely and thrilling it was. Since then, her gratitude has grown. Her latest album, Thankful, was published. Since she made it plain that people can't help but think, she argued that being grateful included thinking positively. At the height of the Supreme's glory, Diana Ross also experienced a special kind of thankfulness. While their accomplishment was unfolding, she wrote in her memoir how she knew they were lucky. Although many people don't appreciate their good fortune until it's gone, Ross was grateful for the chance to earn a job doing what she loved singing. Until she wrote her memoirs, Diana Ross kept her private troubles a secret. Her songs and indisputable ability continued to make her a legendary singer throughout her career. Despite everything she's been through, she's become an incredible role model for her children and a historical legend. Much obliged for your time. Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Give our channel a subscription and watch videos other interesting.